Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. It is a magical Monday here in the studio as I record. How you doing out there? Well, I hope I'm doing quite well. I think I'm going to kick off Monday with a little reading again from Destiny of Souls by Michael Newton. I read a little bit of this, 3 weeks ago, maybe something like that. And love the book, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. It's a guy who, if you're just hearing about it for the first time, he's a hypnotherapist who started taking people, regressing people, and then they would go into past lives, and then he would continue to get insight and information from them as they transitioned out of those past lives onto into the other side, and just documented thousands and thousands of cases over a very long period of time. And yeah, it's really interesting because he started to really paint a picture of what the other side is like and how things work. And sort of, we all have gotten familiar with what the, what's the deal with the human experience and, all the parameters and things we know and things we don't. Well, isn't it wild to think about, once you cross over, once you leave this place, there's a whole nother level of game that you're immersed in. This is like nested within that one. And that's really what this book does, is it helps us to just get a vision of what it's like in the larger play, if you will, of reality and existence. And who's to say for sure, about these things? We won't really, really know until we're there, right? But, he takes such a scientific approach and such incredible insights. I tend to think there's a lot to it, which is why I, enjoy the books. And a lot of people have gotten these books. So very, very popular. Going to read a little bit more today, just insights into how spirits connect with the living is the part that, and then I give a case. He basically has some case studies where, people are under hypnosis and kind of share this whole experience. So, before I do, I would like to take a quick moment and read a review for The Golden Key on Amazon. Getting some reviews rolling in, and that feels really good to get feedback from you guys as you read the book, audio or ebook. You can get access to for free as my gift to you. Just use the code POSITIVEHEAD at checkout on goldenkey.gift. And audio book or ebook or both. It's about 3 hours to listen to or 100 pages to read. So my aim was to make it short and concise, and 25 years of deep exploration of the ultimate nature of reality really condensed into this 3 hours. So hope you guys enjoy. And then if you do, please review on Amazon, because that helps it to, find new people. And this particular review came in from Lucretia, and Lucretia said, "Wow, this book is a great way to start your journey into a life of abundance. Brandon has genuinely made a simple book, but has all the information you need to move forward. Highly recommend this. Everything you need is right on these pages." Thank you, Lucretia, for taking the time to give me some feedback. Feels great to hear. So, all right, let's see here. Let's dive into Destiny of Souls by Michael Newton. The ways spirit connects with the living. Somatic touch is the first little section here. I've taken the clinical terms of somatic bridging and therapeutic touch, and combine them to describe the method by which discarnate souls use directed energy beams to touch various parts of an incarnated body. Healing is not limited to the chakra body points I spoke about earlier. Souls who are reaching back to comfort the living look for areas that are most receptive to their energy. We saw this in case 1, behind the left ear. The energy pattern becomes therapeutic when bridges are established to connect the two minds of the sender and receiver in telepathic transmission. Bridging by thought transmissions to a body which is hurting is somatic when the methods are physiological. It involves the subtle touching of body organs while eliciting certain emotional reactions, which can include the use of the senses. Skillfully applied energy beams can evoke recognition by sight, sound, taste, and smell. The whole idea with recognition is to convince the person grieving that the individual they love is still alive. The purpose of somatic touch is to allow the grief-stricken person to come to terms with their loss by acquiring an awareness that absence is only a chance of reality and not final. Hopefully, this will allow the bereaved to move on and complete their own life constructively. Souls are also quite capable of falling into habit patterns with somatic touch. The next case is an example of a 49-year-old man who had died of cancer. While the soul of this man does not demonstrate much skill, his intentions are good. Okay, here we go. Case 2. So I'll kind of shift my voice between the doctor asking questions typically, and S is, they just say S is the person who's under hypnosis. Starting with the doctor. What technique do you use to reach out to your wife? Oh, my old standby, the center of the chest. Where exactly on the chest? I direct my energy beam right at the heart. If I'm a little off, it doesn't matter. And why is this method successful for you? I am on the ceiling and she is bent over crying. My first shot causes her to straighten up. She sighs deeply and senses something and looks upward. Then I use my scatter technique. What is that? Oh, throwing energy in all directions from a central point on the ceiling. Usually one of those bolts reaches the right place, the head, anywhere. But what determines the right place? That which is not blocked by negative energy, of course. And that's it. For that case too, that's super short. Oh, well, hold on. Never mind. It's not, it's just a quick interlude. He says, compare the difference between case 2 and the next client who carefully spreads her energy in a focused area as if she was applying icing on a cake. And before they go into case 3, it says, compare the difference between case 2 and the next client who carefully spreads her energy in a focused area as if she was applying icing on a cake. Case 3. Here's the doctor starting. Please describe the manner in which you are going to help your husband with your energy. I'm going to work the base of the head just above the spine. God, Kevin is suffering so much. I just won't leave until he feels better. Why this particular spot? Because I know he enjoyed having the back of his neck rubbed by me, so it is an area where he is more receptive to my vibrational imprint. Then I played this area as if I was doing body massage, which I am actually. Play the area? My subject giggles and holds her hand out in front of her, opening up 5 fingers wide. Yes, I spread my energy and resonate myself by touch. Then I use both hands cupped around each side of Kevin's head for maximum effect. Does he know it is you? With a wicked smile. Oh, he realizes it must be me, all right. No one else can do what I do to him, and it only takes me a minute. Isn't he going to miss this after you return to the spirit world? I thought you knew about such things. I can come back whenever he really gets down in the dumps and yearns for me. Just asking. I don't mean to be insensitive, but what if Kevin eventually meets another woman in his life? I'll be delighted if he finds happiness again. This is a testimony as to how good we were together. Our life with each other, every scene, is never lost and can be recaptured and played again in the spirit world. He goes on, now that's the end of the questioning. Just about the time I think I'm getting a complete grasp of soul capabilities and their limitations, a client will come along to dispel these faulty notions. For a long while, I told people that all souls seem to have difficulties getting past the uncontrolled sobs of the grieving before they could go to work with healing energy. Here is a short quote from a level 3 whose tactical approach during the peak of the grief process proved me wrong. I am not delayed by people who are crying hard. My technique is to coordinate my vibrational resonance with the tonal vibrations of their vocal cords and then springboard to the brain. In this way, I can align my energy to affect a more rapid melding of my essence with their body. Quite soon, they stop crying without knowing why. Next little section before it goes on to case 4 says personification with objects. I have heard some fascinating stories about the use of familiar objects, such as with the man in my next case. Since husbands usually die ahead of their wives, I do hear more about energy techniques from their perspective. This does not mean male-oriented souls are more proficient with healing because they get more practice at comforting. The soul in case 4 has been just as effective in former lives as a woman who preceded her husband in death, as a husband in this life. Case 4, starting out with the doctor. What do you do if your efforts right after death are not having the desired results anywhere on the body? When I found that my wife, Helen, was not receiving me by a direct approach, I finally resorted to working with a household familiar. You mean with an animal, a cat or a dog? I have used them before, but no, not this time. I decided to pick out some objects of value to me that my wife would know was very personal. I chose my ring. At this point, my subject explained to me that during this past life, he always wore a large ring of Indian design with a raised turquoise stone in the center. He and his wife often sat by the fire talking about their day. He had a habit of rubbing the stone while talking to Helen. His wife often kidded him about polishing the turquoise down to the metal base of the ring. Helen had once reminded him that she had noticed this nervous mannerism the night they met. Doctor, and it's back to talking now. I think I understand about the ring. So what did you do with it as a spirit? When I work with objects and people, I have to wait until the scene is very tranquil. 3 weeks after my death, Helen lit a fire and was looking into it with tears in her eyes. I began wrapping my energy within the fire itself, using the fire as a conduit of warmth and elasticity. Excuse my interruption, but what does elasticity mean? It took me centuries to learn this. Elastic energy is fluid. To make my soul energy fluid requires intense concentration and practice because it must be thin and fleecy. The fire serves as a catalyst in this maneuver, which is just the opposite from a strong, narrow beam of energy. Exactly. I can be very effective by rapidly shifting my energy from a fluid to a solid state and back again. The shifting is subtle, but it awakens the human mind. Note, others have also told me this technique of energy shape-shifting tickles the human brain. Okay, back to their talking. Doctor, interesting. Please continue. Helen was connecting with the fire and thus with me. For a moment, the grief was less oppressive, and I moved straight into the top of her head. She felt my presence, slightly. It was not enough. Then I began shifting my energy, as I told you, from hard to soft in fork fashion. What do you do when you fork energy? I split it. While keeping a soft fluid energy on Helen's head to maintain contact, I fork a hard beam at the box which holds my ring in a table drawer. My intent is to open up a smooth pathway from her mind to the ring. This is why I'm using a hard, steady beam to direct her to the ring. What does Helen do next? With my guidance, she slowly gets up without even knowing why. She moves as if sleepwalking to the table and hesitates. Then she opens a drawer. Since my ring is in the box, I continue to shift back and forth from her mind to the lid of the box. Helen opens it and takes out my ring, holding it in her left hand. With a deep sigh, then I know I have her. Because the ring still retains some of my energy. Don't you see? She is feeling my energy on both ends of the fork. This is a two-directional signal. Very effective. Oh, I do see. Then what do you do with Helen? Now I move into overdrive with a full power bridge between myself standing on her right side and the ring on the left. She turns in my direction and smiles. Helen then kisses my ring and says, "Thanks, darling. I know you are with me now. I'll try and be more brave." That's the end of the dialogue with them. I want to encourage anyone who is in a terrible state of grief over the loss of a loved one to do what the gifted psychics do when they want to find missing persons. Take a piece of jewelry, an article of clothing, anything belonging to that departed person, and hold it for a while in a mutually familiar place and quietly open your mind while blanking out all of the other irrelevant thoughts. Before leaving this section, I want to relate my favorite story about energy contact through objects from a discarnate being. My wife, Peggy, is an oncology nurse with a graduate degree in counseling, so she involves herself a great deal with grieving cancer patients and their families. Because she administers chemotherapy at a hospital, this puts her in touch with hospice personnel. A few of these women and my wife are close friends who meet regularly as a support group. One of the members of the group is a recent widow whose husband, Clay, died of cancer. Clay loved big band dancing, and he and his wife would often go on road trips to where the best bands were playing. One night after Clay's death, his widow, my wife, and the rest of the support group were in a circle in the middle of this lady's living room floor talking about my theories of how souls reach back to comfort the people they love. The widow exclaimed in frustration, "Why hasn't Clay made himself known in a way that would comfort me?" There was a moment of silence, and suddenly a music box on top of the bookshelf began to play Glenn Miller's song, "In the Mood." From what I understand, there was a stunned silence followed by nervous laughter from the group. All the widow could say was, "That music box hasn't been touched in 2 years." It didn't matter. I think she got Clay's message. Light energy has some properties of electromagnetic force and thus can work in mysterious ways with objects. Joanne and Jim are 2 former clients of mine whose marriage is a very close one. After their sessions, we got into a discussion of the use of energy beams by the living. Sheepishly, they told me that they combine their energy on the California freeways to push cars out of the fast lane in front of them when they are in a hurry. When I asked if they tailgate, they said, "No, we just direct a combined beam to the back of the driver's head and then fork the beam to the right, middle lane, and back again." They claim that over 50% of the time they are successful. I told Joanne and Jim, half seriously, that pushing cars out of their way was clearly a misuse of power, and they had better mend their ways. I think they both know that using their gift more constructively will be much better received upstairs, although it will be a hard habit. All right, let's see here. The next section's a little bit longer, so I think that's a good place to just pause and ponder for today as we consider. I mean, isn't it really interesting to consider like all the techniques and approaches, and it's a whole different world, right? It's got giving a glimpse of to what a spirit's life is like. What is it doing? You often think, okay, you think of the very classical, okay, when I die, if I go to heaven, I play the harp and sing to God all day or whatever, the very, like, whoa, that's going to get boring. Like, what's going on? What's really going on? Obviously, we're continuing to live many, many physical lives. And then when we're on the other side, we have different skills and techniques and things that we're doing to, interact with the physical. And I'm sure much beyond that. But it's just, wow, such an interesting thing to ponder and consider, and how sort of, technique driven it sounds, which is very human like, right? It's the same kind of thing. We're just figuring out the best approach to achieve whatever it is we're trying to do in our lives. And so it really also speaks to the, I really get a sense when I read any of these stories too, how vital it is, the things that we take with us and the lessons that we learn aren't lost. My dad will often reference how his dad, when he was close to passing, my grandfather was like, "Oh, if I could just give you all the knowledge in my head." And it's like, you don't need to give it. It goes with you. Those lessons and learnings are part of who and what you are. Very, very cool. Well, I do have a song to leave you guys with for today. This is Tor, T-O-R. The song is called City 66. It's from Tor's new album. Hope you enjoy it. Till next time, journey well. Love you so, so much. Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.